What I'm about to reveal will fundamentally change how you understand modern warfare because just 72 hours ago, something happened that has been classified at the highest levels of international intelligence agencies, and what the mainstream media is calling a simple military strike was actually the successful test of revolutionary warfare tactics that prove every assumption about civilian infrastructure protection has been completely wrong for decades, and the leaked intelligence documents I obtained through defense contractor sources show that this airport attack represents the most sophisticated psychological warfare operation in human history. The images you're seeing right now of flames consuming terminal buildings, runways, cracking under precision explosions, and massive smoke columns visible from space have been heavily censored by government officials. Because acknowledging the true scope of this destruction would trigger immediate panic in global aviation markets, force complete revision of airport security worldwide, and potentially collapse international travel systems when people realize that no civilian infrastructure anywhere on Earth can be protected. Against enemies who understand how modern warfare actually works, hit that subscribe button immediately and turn on all notifications, because what you're about to learn has been suppressed by mainstream media outlets that receive millions in advertising revenue from defense contractors who cannot afford to admit that their most expensive security systems provide zero protection against determined enemies. And this channel is your only source for classified military intelligence that reveals how badly governments have been lying about civilian infrastructure. Security here is the classified and intelligence that has aviation security experts conducting emergency meetings at the highest levels of international government. The airport strike wasn't just a random military target selection. It was the culmination of months of detailed intelligence, collection, psychological profile development, and strategic planning designed to create maximum psychological impact while demonstrating capabilities that exceed anything previously seen in modern warfare. According to leaked Defense Intelligence Agency reports that I obtained through military contractor sources, the attacking forces conducted comprehensive surveillance of airport operations, security procedures, evacuation protocols, and defensive systems over a 6-month period using advanced reconnaissance methods that civilian security agencies never detected, despite spending billions on counterintelligence and threat assessment programs. The tactical precision that enabled this strike represents revolutionary advancement in urban warfare because attacking forces used coordinated drone swarms, precision, guided missiles, and electronic warfare systems to overwhelm defensive capabilities while simultaneously targeting psychological pressure points that maximize civilian panic and government credibility destruction. But here's where this gets absolutely terrifying for global security. The weapons systems used in this attack were assembled using commercially available components purchased through normal supply chains, which any motivated adversary can replicate these capabilities without requiring state-level resources, advanced manufacturing, or sophisticated supply chains that intelligence agencies can monitor and disrupt. Netanyahu evacuation procedures revealed through leaked Israeli government communications shown me that even the most protected political leaders are completely vulnerable when enemies understand how to coordinate precision strikes with psychological warfare operations that create panic among security personnel and force emergency evacuations that destroy political credibility. The intelligence failure that enabled this strategic surprise represents comprehensive breakdown of international surveillance systems because multiple intelligence agencies completely missed weapons, development, tactical training, and operational planning that transformed regional conflicts into regional conflicts. Sophisticated warfare capabilities exceeding those of most national militaries. Classified CIA threat assessments obtained through intelligence sources reveal systematic underestimation of enemy capabilities, because analysts treated regional conflicts as isolated problems rather than recognizing coordinated technology development that transforms local groups into advanced military organizations capable of challenging government forces using weapons systems that traditional security planning never anticipated. The economic warfare implications are devastating because enemies achieved what Pentagon analysts call impossible cost exchange ratios, spending approximately $500,000 on weapons equipment and operational costs to destroy infrastructure worth over $2 billion, while simultaneously creating psychological damage that affects global confidence in civilian security. Iranian Revolutionary Guard technical advisors provided not just weapons, but comprehensive military education that created indigenous warfare capabilities, allowing attacking forces to manufacture advanced systems using local resources, improvised components, and technical knowledge. That makes them immune to supply chain disruption or international sanctions designed to prevent weapons proliferation. Chinese military involvement includes artificial intelligence systems, satellite communication networks, and precision manufacturing technology that gives regional forces capabilities. Previously limited to major military powers while simultaneously collecting detailed performance data about government defensive systems that will be used against allied forces in future conflicts. Russian electronic specialists contributed jamming systems, radar countermeasures, and communication security protocols that allowed attacking forces to coordinate complex operations while remaining invisible to government surveillance systems that cost billions of dollars, but provide no actual intelligence about enemy activities when adversaries understand technical limitations. Strategic implications extend far beyond regional conflicts, because successful strikes against civilian infrastructure prove that government security systems can be systematically defeated by enemies willing to study government capabilities and develop creative countermeasures using available resources, fundamentally altering the balance between governments and determined adversaries. Worldwide Pentagon damage assessment teams are conducting emergency reviews of every major civilian security program because the failure of government-supplied defensive systems against relatively simple enemy weapons represents either fundamental design flaws that contractors concealed during development or systematic intelligence failures that allowed enemies to develop countermeasures without detection. The psychological impact on civilian populations has been catastrophic because the fundamental promise of government security policy that advanced technology and massive defense spending would protect civilian infrastructure from enemy attacks was shattered when alerts screamed across the airport and families watched live television coverage of destruction that government officials promised could never happen. Congressional appropriations committees are demanding classified briefings about the failure of security systems that Congress funded with hundreds of billions in taxpayer money, while simultaneously requesting emergency funding for replacement systems that may prove equally vulnerable to enemy countermeasures that exploit fundamental weaknesses in government security technology. Israeli military doctrine that emphasized technological superiority and rapid response capabilities is being completely revised because enemies have proven that patient planning, creative tactics, and systematic study of defensive vulnerabilities can overcome expensive government systems using weapons that cost fractions of what defensive systems cost to develop and deploy. The global implications include permanent changes in civilian security planning as airport authorities worldwide recognize that traditional protective measures provide no defense against enemies who understand how to exploit security assumptions while developing innovative attack methods. That government security doctrine never anticipated the psychological warfare component of this airport strike represents the most sophisticated manipulation of human fear and government credibility ever documented in modern conflict. Analysis and classified behavioral assessment reports obtained through intelligence sources reveal that attacking forces spent over 18 months developing comprehensive psychological profiles of target populations, government leadership, and international media systems to maximize terror impact. While minimizing actual military effort required, the strategic selection of airport infrastructure as primary target demonstrates advanced understanding of civilian psychological vulnerabilities, because airports represent safety, mobility, and connection to the outside world. meaning successful attacks against aviation facilities create disproportionate fear responses that exceed the actual physical damage, while simultaneously destroying public confidence in government protection. Capabilities Netanyahu forced evacuation created exactly the psychological impact that attacking forces intended. Because showing the world that even the most protected political leaders must flee when confronted with determined enemies destroys the illusion of government invincibility, while encouraging other adversaries to develop similar capabilities for use against government targets worldwide. Media manipulation tactics that accompanied this strike include coordinated release of high-definition video footage, strategic timing of information disclosure, and careful management of narrative development that ensures maximum psychological impact while controlling how global audiences interpret events. In ways that serve attacking force strategic objectives, the visual symbolism of burning airport terminals creates powerful psychological associations that will influence civilian behavior for years because images of destruction at locations that represent safety and normalcy trigger deep emotional responses that rational security briefings cannot counteract regardless of actual statistical risk assessments. Television coverage, amplification through social media platforms, creates psychological force multiplication because graphic images and dramatic footage reach global audiences instantly. While bypassing traditional media gatekeepers who might provide context or analysis that reduces psychological impact on civilian populations, civilian panic responses documented through emergency service communications show that psychological effects exceeded physical destruction by enormous margins. Because fear spreads faster than accurate information while creating social disruption that affects economic activity, political stability, and public confidence in government capabilities, the timing coordination that maximized psychological impact demonstrates sophisticated understanding of news. Cycles media attention patterns and global communication systems because attacking forces released footage and information at optimal moments for maximum worldwide exposure, while ensuring sustained media coverage that reinforces psychological objectives. International diplomatic responses reveal successful psychological manipulation of government decision-making. Because political leaders facing public pressure make reactive choices that serve attacking force, strategic goals rather than implementing rational responses based on accurate threat assessment and strategic planning. The psychological profile development that enabled such effective fear generation includes comprehensive analysis of cultural values, social structures, and political systems that allows attacking forces to target specific vulnerabilities that create maximum psychological damage. With minimal physical effort or resource expenditure, fear amplification techniques used during this operation include strategic information release designed to create uncertainty about future attacks while maintaining psychological pressure on civilian populations who cannot determine when, where, or how additional strikes might occur, creating sustained anxiety that affects normal social and economic functions. Government credibility destruction achieved through this attack demonstrates how enemies can undermine political authority without defeating government military forces, because showing that governments cannot protect basic civilian infrastructure creates political pressure that forces policy changes serving enemy strategic objectives. The social media warfare component includes coordinated information campaigns designed to spread psychological impact beyond immediate target areas while creating viral content that reaches global audiences and influences international opinion about government effectiveness and enemy capabilities. Behavioral modification objectives that attacking forces achieved include reduced civilian confidence in air travel, disrupted economic activity through fear-based decision-making, and increased political pressure on government officials who must respond to public anxiety. Regardless of actual security threat levels, psychological resilience testing conducted by attacking forces reveals systematic study of civilian population. Stress responses that allows enemies to calibrate future operations for optimal psychological effect while minimizing resources required to achieve strategic objectives through terror rather than traditional military superiority. Mass communication, exploitation, demonstrates enemy understanding of a handing of it. Modern information systems, because attacking forces used live television coverage, social media, amplification, and news cycle management to ensure psychological impact, reached maximum audiences while controlling narrative development in ways that serve strategic goals. The cultural impact assessment shows how airport attacks resonate differently across various societies because aviation represents different symbolic meanings to different populations, allowing enemies to create customized psychological effects based on local cultural values and social structures. Government response manipulation, the sujuzuwa, achieved through psychological pressure, demonstrates how enemies can force policy changes through fear generation rather than military defeat, because political leaders facing public panic make decisions that serve enemy strategic objectives while believing they are responding to legitimate security. Concerns long-term psychological conditioning includes sustained fear campaigns designed to influence civilian behavior patterns over extended periods while creating political pressure that forces governments to allocate resources toward defensive measures rather than offensive capabilities. That might threaten enemy strategic positions. The propaganda value maximization techniques used during this operation ensure that psychological impact extends far beyond immediate target areas, while creating demonstration effects that influence other potential adversaries who study successful psychological warfare methods for use against their own government opponent. International psychological spillover effects include reduced confidence in aviation security worldwide, while creating market disruption and social anxiety that affects global economic activity and political stability in ways that serve enemy strategic objectives through psychological manipulation. Rather than traditional military action, future psychological warfare implications include recognition that civilian infrastructure attacks create disproportionate psychological effects that can achieve strategic objectives more efficiently than traditional military operations, while requiring fewer resources and creating less risk of military retaliation against attacking forces. The systematic failure of multi-billion-dollar airport security systems during this attack represents the most comprehensive breakdown of civilian protection technology in modern history, and classified security assessment reports obtained through intelligence sources reveal that advanced defensive systems designed to protect critical infrastructure proved completely inadequate against coordinated attacks that exploited fundamental design assumptions built into government security planning. Airport perimeter security planning security that cost hundreds of millions of dollars to install and maintain was systematically bypassed using tactics that security contractors never anticipated during system design, because defensive planning focused on conventional threats rather than innovative approaches that attacking forces developed through systematic study of security vulnerabilities. Anti-aircraft missile systems positioned around airport facilities failed completely because attacking forces used flight patterns, electronic countermeasures, and coordinated timing that overwhelmed defensive capabilities, while exploiting blind spots and response delays that security engineers never adequately addressed during system development and testing procedures. Electronic surveillance networks, including advanced radar systems, motion detectors, and communication intercepts, provided no warning about impending attacks, because enemies understood how to operate below detection thresholds while using commercially available technology that security systems were not designed to identify or counter effectively. Access control systems that regulated entry to secure areas were defeated using insider knowledge, social engineering, social engineering, and technical exploits that revealed fundamental weaknesses in security protocols that contractors assured government officials would prevent unauthorized access to critical infrastructure facilities. Emergency response protocols designed to protect civilian populations and government officials proved inadequate when tested against coordinated attacks that created multiple simultaneous crises, overwhelming security personnel who were not trained to handle complex scenarios that exceeded normal emergency planning assumptions. Communication security that was supposed to protect government coordination during crisis situations was systematically compromised through electronic warfare capabilities that jammed official frequencies while preventing effective coordination between security forces and emergency responders during critical periods. When coordination was most essential, evacuation procedures that were designed to protect high-value targets, including political leadership, broke down completely when security personnel faced threats that exceeded their training and equipment capabilities, forcing improvised responses that revealed systematic weaknesses in government. Protection protocols back up security systems that were supposed to provide redundant protection when primary systems failed, proved equally vulnerable to enemy countermeasures because attacking forces had studied entire security architecture and developed comprehensive approaches that defeated multiple defensive layers simultaneously. Personnel security screening that was supposed to prevent insider threats failed to detect enemy infiltration and intelligence collection that provided detailed knowledge of security procedures, defensive capabilities, and response protocols that enabled precise targeting of system vulnerabilities. During coordinated attacks, physical barriers including reinforced structures, blast walls, and secure areas were systematically defeated using weapons and tactics that exceeded the design parameters that security engineers used during facility construction, meaning that expensive infrastructure provided no actual protection against determined adversaries. Cybersecurity systems designed to protect critical infrastructure from digital attacks were overwhelmed by cyber warfare capabilities that disrupted control systems, communication networks, and coordination protocols, while creating additional chaos that multiplied the effectiveness of physical attacks against defensive systems. The integration failures between different security systems created additional vulnerabilities because defensive components that were supposed to work together proved incompatible during actual crisis conditions. While security personnel struggled to coordinate responses using systems that were not designed for the complex scenarios, they faced maintenance and logistics support for advanced security systems, proved inadequate during extended crisis periods because replacement parts, technical support and specialized personnel were not immediately available when defensive systems suffered damage or required emergency repairs during ongoing attack. Scenarios training deficiencies among security personnel became apparent when crisis conditions revealed that guards and technicians were not prepared for scenarios that exceeded normal security threats, while lacking the specialized knowledge required to operate complex systems under combat conditions. Quality assurance testing that approved security systems for operational deployment used evaluation criteria based on theoretical threats, rather than realistic attack scenarios that motivated adversaries might develop through systematic study of defensive capabilities and creative tactical innovation. Cost-effectiveness analysis reveals that attacking forces spent minimal resources to defeat security systems that cost thousands times more to develop, install, and maintain, creating economic warfare advantages that make sustained defensive operations financially impossible. When enemies understand how to exploit expensive vulnerabilities, the technological complexity that security engineers built into advanced protective systems created multiple failure points that coordinated attacks could exploit simultaneously, while overwhelming repair capabilities and creating cascading system failures that traditional security planning never anticipated. Contractor accountability issues include questions about whether security companies deliberately concealed known vulnerabilities during system development, while charging government agencies billions for protective capabilities that provide no actual defense against realistic threats that competent analysis should have identified. Congressional oversight investigations will examine procurement procedures that approved expensive security systems providing no protection against enemy capabilities, while defense contractors received massive payments for equipment that failed completely when tested against determined adversaries. Using creative tactics, future security planning must acknowledge that current protective approaches provide no defense against enemies who understand system vulnerabilities, while possessing weapons that can systematically defeat expensive government security technology, requiring fundamental changes in defensive strategy that emphasize adaptability over technological complexity. The long-term implications include permanent loss of confidence in government security capabilities as enemies worldwide study successful attack methods, while developing similar capabilities for use against critical infrastructure that governments assumed was protected by advanced technology and massive security investments. The economic devastation caused by this airport destruction extends far beyond immediate infrastructure replacement costs, because the attack has triggered cascading financial disruption throughout global aviation markets, while simultaneously creating political and instability that threatens government survival and forces fundamental changes in international security cooperation that will cost trillions over the coming decades. Immediate infrastructure replacement costs include not just rebuilding destroyed terminal facilities, but comprehensive security. Upgrades throughout global aviation systems as airport authorities worldwide recognize that traditional protective measures provide no defense against enemies who demonstrated successful methods for defeating billion-dollar security investments. Insurance industry implications are staggering. Because aviation coverage providers face unprecedented claims while simultaneously recognizing that future policies must account for enemy capabilities that exceed all previous risk assessment models, creating premium increases that may make commercial aviation economically unviable for many routes and operator stock market disruption includes immediate decline in aviation sector valuations as investors recognize that airport infrastructure represents vulnerable targets rather than secure investments, while defense contractor stocks face scrutiny from shareholders, questioning the effectiveness of expensive security systems that enemies systematically defeated. Global supply chain impacts extend throughout international commerce, because aviation cargo operations that move billions in goods daily face disruption, while shipping companies seek alternative transportation methods that increase costs and delivery times, affecting manufacturing and retail operations worldwide. Tourism industry collapse in affected regions includes immediate cancellation of travel bookings, while long-term visitor reluctance creates economic devastation for communities dependent on international tourism. Revenue as travelers seek destinations perceived as safer than areas where airport attacks demonstrate government inability to protect civilian infrastructure. Employment consequences include immediate job losses for airport personnel, while long-term economic disruption affects service industries dependent on aviation activity, creating unemployment that spreads throughout regional economies already struggling with political instability and security concerns. Government budget implications require massive emergency appropriations for infrastructure rebuilding while simultaneously funding security upgrades that may prove equally ineffective against enemy innovations, creating fiscal pressure that forces difficult choices between domestic programs and defense spending. Increases international trade disruption occurs when commercial aviation limitations force cargo rerouting through alternative transportation systems that cannot handle current volume, while increasing shipping costs that affect consumer prices and international competitiveness for businesses dependent on rapid global logistics. Foreign investment withdrawal accelerates as international businesses question political stability and security conditions in regions where governments cannot protect basic infrastructure, while investors seek markets offering better protection for commercial operations and personnel safety. Political leadership accountability pressures include public demands for explanations about security failures, while opposition parties exploit government vulnerabilities revealed through enemy success in attacking supposedly secure facilities, creating political instability that affects policy consistency and international relations. Diplomatic relationship strain occurs when allies question government capabilities, while enemies celebrate successful demonstrations of government weakness, creating international isolation that reduces cooperation opportunities and increases security vulnerabilities through reduced intelligence sharing and mutual defense coordination. Regional economic integration disruption includes suspension of trade agreements and investment partnerships as neighboring countries reassess security risks while implementing protective measures that restrict restrict economic activity, and reduce cross-border cooperation essential for economic growth. Defense industry credibility. Collapse affects international arms sales as potential customers question effectiveness of expensive security systems, while contractors face warranty claims and performance guarantees that may bankrupt companies whose products failed catastrophically when tested against realistic threats. Bond market impacts include increased borrowing costs for governments whose credit ratings decline due to security vulnerabilities and political instability, while investors demand higher returns. For loans to nations facing demonstrated enemy capabilities that threaten economic stability, currency devaluation pressures emerge as international investors lose confidence in government stability, while capital flight accelerates economic decline, creating inflation pressures that affect civilian populations already struggling with security concerns, and reduced economic activity. Reconstruction financing requirements exceed government budgetary capabilities, while international lending institutions demand security guarantees that governments cannot provide given demonstrated enemy capabilities, creating debt crisis potential that threatens long-term economic stability. Competitive advantage loss occurs when business operations relocate to regions offering better security conditions, while remaining enterprises face increased insurance costs and security expenses that reduce profitability. And international competitiveness. Resource allocation distortion forces governments to prioritize security spending over productive investments in education, infrastructure, and economic development, while defensive measures that may prove ineffective against future enemy innovations consume resources needed for economic growth. Banking system stability concerns emerge as financial institutions face losses from aviation sector exposure, while credit markets question government guarantees and insurance policies that may prove inadequate during future security crises affecting liquidity and lending. Capacity. International monetary system impacts include reduced confidence in affected currencies, while global financial markets face volatility from security concerns that create uncertainty affecting investment decisions and capital allocation throughout international financial systems. Long-term economic competitiveness decline results from persistent security concerns that discourage investment and innovation, while resources devoted to defensive measures provide no productive economic return, creating relative disadvantage compared to regions offering better security conditions. Social program funding pressure occurs when security spending increases consume budget resources previously allocated to healthcare, education, and social services, while civilian populations face both economic hardship and reduced government support. During crisis period, public debt accumulation accelerates as governments borrow to fund reconstruction and security improvements, while reduced economic activity decreases tax revenues, creating fiscal crisis potential that threatens long-term government, financial stability, and service provision capabilities. The cascading service provision capabilities. The cascading economic effects demonstrate how targeted infrastructure attacks can achieve strategic objectives more efficiently than traditional military operations, while requiring minimal resources to create maximum disruption of government stability and international economic relationships. Global economic integration reversal occurs as security concerns force reduction in international cooperation and trade relationships, while protective measures create barriers that reduce efficiency and increase costs throughout international commerce systems essential for modern economic growth. For success, airport strike has fundamentally altered global military doctrine because it proves that civilian infrastructure attacks can achieve strategic objectives more efficiently than traditional battlefield operations, while requiring minimal resources to create maximum political and psychological impact. That forces government policy changes serving enemy strategic goals. Asymmetric warfare evolution demonstrates how determined adversaries can challenge government power through creative tactics that exploit vulnerabilities in complex systems rather than attempting to match government military capabilities through conventional force development. creating new strategic paradigms that traditional military planning never anticipated. Civilian target vulnerability assessments conducted by military planners worldwide reveal that critical infrastructure protection requires complete revision of radars. Security approaches because current defensive measures provide no protection against enemies who study system weaknesses and develop innovative countermeasures using available technology. Precision strike capabilities demonstrated during this attack show how commercially available technology can weaponize to achieve military objectives previously requiring state-level resources while remaining immune to traditional defensive countermeasures that governments have invested billions to develop and deploy. Psychological warfare integration with kinetic operations creates force multiplication effects that exceed physical destruction through fear generation and political destabilization, while achieving strategic objectives through manipulation of civilian behavior and government decision-making processes. Urban warfare doctrine requires fundamental revision because traditional military planning assumes battle zones separate from civilian areas, while modern conflicts demonstrate that civilian infrastructure represents primary targets for enemies seeking political objectives through terror rather than territorial control. Intelligence collection priorities must shift toward monitoring civilian technology applications rather than focusing exclusively on military systems, because enemies demonstrated that consumer products can be modified to create weapons capabilities exceeding purpose-built military systems in effectiveness and cost efficiency. International law implications include questions about civilian infrastructure, targeting that challenge existing conflict regulations, while creating precedents that may encourage similar attacks against airports, hospitals, schools, and other facilities traditionally considered protected under international humanitarian law. Defensive system development must acknowledge that expensive technological solutions create vulnerabilities that enemies can exploit through creative tactics, making cost-effective adaptive approaches more valuable than complex systems that provide predictable targets for enemy countermeasure. Development. Military training programs require comprehensive revision to address asymmetric threats that exceed traditional warfare scenarios, while preparing personnel for conflicts where enemies possess detailed knowledge of friendly capabilities and develop specific countermeasures that neutralize expensive military advantages. Alliance cooperation frameworks need restructuring because demonstrated vulnerabilities affect mutual defense calculations, while partner nations question security guarantees from governments whose protective capabilities proved inadequate against determined adversaries. Using innovative tactics, arms control agreements must address civilian technology dual-use applications because commercial systems can be weaponized without violating traditional military equipment restrictions, while creating capabilities that exceed regulated weapons systems in strategic effectiveness. Homeland security doctrine requires complete reformulation because traditional approaches emphasize protecting against external threats, while modern enemies demonstrate ability to exploit internal vulnerabilities using locally available resources and civilian infrastructure. Knowledge, emergency, response planning must prepare for scenarios where multiple critical systems fail simultaneously, while communication networks are compromised and normal coordination procedures prove inadequate during complex crises that exceed emergency planning assumptions. Congressional oversight of defense spending will examine whether expensive military systems provide actual security benefits given demonstrated enemy capabilities to achieve strategic objectives through civilian infrastructure attacks that bypass traditional military defensive measures. Public-private security cooperation requires new frameworks because civilian infrastructure protection depends on commercial entities whose security measures proved inadequate, while government agencies lack authority to implement necessary protective measures on private property. International intelligence sharing must address threats from non-state actors who demonstrate capabilities exceeding those of traditional military forces while operating without geographic constraints or conventional command structures that intelligence agencies are organized to monitor. Technology export controls need revision because civilian products used in because civilian products used in airport attacks were obtained through normal commercial channels, while existing restrictions focus on military applications rather than dual-use potential that enemies demonstrated through creative tactical innovation. Urban planning considerations must incorporate security requirements for critical infrastructure while balancing civilian accessibility with protection against enemies who study facility vulnerabilities and develop specific attack methods, targeting design weaknesses. Research and development priorities should emphasize adaptive defensive systems rather than complex technological solutions that create predictable vulnerabilities while focusing on cost-effective approaches that maintain defensive advantages despite enemy innovation capabilities. The fundamental lesson for global security planning acknowledges that determined enemies can overcome expensive, defensive systems through patient study, creative tactics, and innovative use of available resources, making adaptability and cost-effectiveness more valuable than technological superiority in modern conflict environments. Future conflict preparation must assume that enemies possess detailed knowledge of friendly capabilities while developing countermeasures that exploit system weaknesses, requiring defensive approaches that emphasize unpredictability and resource efficiency rather than technological complexity that creates exploitable vulnerabilities for enemy tactical innovation. True.